Hey guys.
Yeah, fuck it. Go, do it.
No, do it. Come on, intro. Doesn't matter how many you do, the intro is fucking painful.
It's always the same.
All right, let's do it.
Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Trackside with PR. Tonight our special guests are the team from Brintech Customs. We've got Josh and Laurence. Welcome.
Thank you.
And obviously Aaron's here as well, as always. Yeah. Can't get rid of him.
I get forgotten every time.
Yeah.
It's weird that I have to bring that up every single time.
I'm sorry, mate. You know I love you.
I guess we'll start with talking about what Brintech Customs is, because not everybody knows. I've been aware of you guys now for what must be 8 years.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Something like that. But I'll let, I guess, Laurence, you're the director.
Yeah, so I started by myself. I formed Brintech Customs in about 2011. Before that, I was doing IT for 12 years, and it was called Brintech IT.
Right.
So I just morphed the name into Brintech Customs and started doing my passion, which was cars.
Yeah.
Started off as a hobby, like it does for most of us that are into cars. And then I started looking for some people to work with me, and I came across Josh about a year into doing that, and eventually signed him up, and he came over, and we've just gone up from there, really. I've had a lot of staff throughout that time. I had a few people before Josh, some friends, and yeah, here we are a good sort of 12 years later.
So hang on, Josh, how long have you been with Brintech?
2014, I think it was, wasn't it, Josh?
Yeah, I think I saw a Facebook post this week. It was 8 years since we did that supercharger kit on the Lambo.
Yeah.
So it would have been...
Well, that's a good stab at 8 years then.
Yeah, maybe a bit longer, maybe going on 9 years.
9 years, yeah. Well, I was sort of taking a stab there with the 8 years, but it's pretty bang on.
Pretty close, yeah.
And what sort of stuff are you doing? A lot of custom?
So it started off with nothing in particular. It was just cars that we enjoyed building. So we had some Silvias. We put a 1UZ V8 into one. There was an old Tirana. We put a 1UZ in for a customer. Whoever called us to have things done, we sort of entertained it. But then I accidentally bought a BMW one day from the auctions, and a 1UZ was destined to go into it, but it had a bit of front damage. So I bought another one to get the parts off it to make one good car. And then I just fell in love with them. We pulled them apart and realised that, you know, the Germans have got some pretty good mentality, the way they assemble cars, and really enjoyed the way they came apart and went together, and never looked back, really.
Yeah, wow. This sounds like the typical BMW story. I personally haven't had much experience with BMWs, but it sounds like the general consensus of what happens when you start pulling one apart.
Yeah, so driving a BMW as well, and I'm not being biased because that's what we work on, but the handling of the chassis and the way they drive and feel on the road, it really is a driver's machine, and it's pretty hard to drive something else, I think, when you've got one that does what it's supposed to with the right engine. And that's where we started formulating these combinations of BMW chassis with engines to improve them.
Yeah. So really what you're saying is that BMW is such a great car, but they couldn't get the right engine in it to begin with.
The engines had a bit of a time life, or a bit of a lifespan that was probably not conditioned for Australian driving enthusiasts. You know, they were disposable cars for the Germans after 4 years, and in Australia with our climate and temperatures and abuse that they have here with our roads and infrastructure, they sort of became very disposable and fell apart very quickly, especially with the mechanical side. So that's when we started playing with other engines, LSs, a few Jap engines, but then we started to hone in on the good BMW engines, which cost a bit more and were a lot more complex than the things we were used to.
Yeah.
So, you know, an RB or an SR compared to a four-cylinder BMW engine, an M44 or an M54 or an S54, which would be a comparison. They were quite a complex engine to work on or to learn. And the good thing about that was the support for the BMW engines or part numbers, diagrams, information online is everywhere. So the support to actually learn and work with them, I found, was better than any other manufacturer I'd worked on before. So that's why I just stuck with it.
Yeah. So how long's the company been specialising in the BMW, I guess, conversion and aftermarket scene?
So we probably canned all other types of cars that we worked on maybe about a year after Josh started with us. So sort of 2014, 2015 was the real change. and that's when we started really getting into building. Traditionally, it was a lot of LS swapped BMWs because the engines were cheap, and everyone started LS swapping back then. And I've been LS swapping other cars before that, so I was quite familiar with that engine.
Yeah.
And because it's so narrow and fits well, it was easy to convert with. And then we started developing swap kits and engine mounts and exhaust headers, wiring solutions, all those sorts of things.
Yeah. I remember back in the day you had RX-8s that you were doing. LS swaps.
Yep. We did a couple of RX-8s.
Is that still a thing or not really?
No, not anymore. We get asked. We've got one in the shop at the moment, actually.
Yeah.
We do get asked for swap kits and solutions for that car. Because people see we have swap kits for all the BMWs, they just assume we probably have swap kits for the other cars we've built before. But no, we don't really support them.
Yep. Reason?
There's too much to do.
Yeah.
We've got about 60 cars on site at the moment that are customer cars.
Yeah.
So we're pretty well booked for 2 years with assembling cars that we have in our possession. So we're trying to downsize our commitment to the volume of cars and move into manufacturing swap kit components so that other shops or other enthusiasts can build their cars.
Or DIY,
It's a way of scaling the industry, I think. Instead of building 15 or 20 cars a year, we could potentially provide 50 swap kits around the country.
Yep.
And other shops and other DIYers can do the work and expedite that process, and we can support them.
Yep.
As we further develop components or make more components to make the swap more fluid, we can introduce those to the market and get a lot of overseas inquiries for them as well. So that's the direction we're heading. But it's also hard to say no to a customer and not let people down. You know, that's the tricky part that I struggle with. I try to help everyone, and Josh does as well. And obviously our staff do what we ask of them, and they're all on board as well. But we just constantly find ourselves going off on these tangents and getting away from our business model of trying to perfect the swap kits and move in that direction.
Yep.
I feel like that comes from your passion for these conversions. I can just feel it and see the way you're talking about these conversions. You actually enjoy it. You actually love it.
I think you have to.
Yeah.
You do.
It's definitely not a business decision to do what I'm doing.
Yeah.
If it was a business decision, I'd be doing brake pad changes and clutches and fitting tyres. And
But you wouldn't go from IT to doing that, would you?
I don't think so.
No.
I got bored with IT. I didn't want to get into another industry I'd get bored with. Otherwise, I would just stuck with that. I really wanted to explore the passion of building cars and being able to do what I enjoy daily. So for me, it's not just starting a company that we try to make money or try to build cars. It's me wanting to enjoy each day that I'm alive and awake as well, that I get up in the morning and excited to go to work and play with all these things. And, you know, I think that's the ultimate dream, isn't it? We
100%.
enjoy our work.
So 60 cars on site. Well, how big is this place?
So we moved into a 6-acre property about 2 years ago, or it'll be 2 years this September we moved in.
Yeah.
We're still moving in. We've got pallets that are still wrapped up and not unpacked.
Sounds like our shop.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
6 years in.
Yeah. You know, doing shed renos and trying to make space to work. We're still working in dirt in some places. You know, we spread ourselves thinly to try and get to where we want to be, but finding good staff and finding the right help is also another challenge. So we don't want to go too big, but we've now drawn the attention of a lot of people inquiring with us daily to help them, and coming back to not being able to say no to people. It's delaying where we want to go, but we're getting there slowly.
Yeah. How do you give sort of realistic expectations then moving forward?
So I've learnt from the customer's point of view and their criticisms of things taking a long time and having better communication. We try to warn people up front now that, yes, we want to help you, but it could be 6 to 12 months before we see any light with your project once it's on site. And they have to sort of understand that up front. I think it's fair to give them a realistic price and timeline as best you can, rather than trying to just secure the job and give them false hope that it's cheaper or going to be quicker than what it will be. A lot of people do that. They don't want to lose the job. They want to secure it. I'm sort of done away with that now, and more so just trying to give people a realistic deadline or timeline of what it takes to get it done. Try to be transparent. We share images I'll spend the time to explain to customers what we're doing and why. I try to get technical for those who want the technical information. A lot of people don't understand it or really want to know, but I think if we're transparent and just showing we're doing our best and we're trying to help, then that's all we can do.
Yeah, sure. So, Josh, you started in 2014. We're just saying, what was your experience leading up to that, and was this would have been quite new for you as well?
Moving into the Euro cars was a pretty new thing for me. Predominantly working on Australian and then Japanese cars for 15 or so years. So if you want to hear my sort of story, I started in a dealership, did 3 years in the dealership, and thought there's more to this. So went chasing a bigger dream and got working at Croydon Racing Developments. Yeah, did on and off about 10 years with them. Learned a whole heap, and sort of from there then moved on to the Euro stuff with Laurence. Yeah, so
bit of a diverse sort of start to where you are now.
Yeah, definitely. So I guess my sort of skill set's pretty diverse. So from general maintenance to high performance cars to fabrication and everything in between. So when it comes to custom conversions, you need to be able to do it all. Yeah. You can't come in with one skill set and expect that you're going to survive. Yeah.
100%. I guess as soon as we hear conversion, if somebody calls up saying, hey, I'm trying to do this, it's like, not interested. Yeah. I'm sorry. I can't do it for you. Not that we can't do it. Typically people don't understand the investment involved in terms of time, which time leads to money, right? Obviously,
exactly.
Or expense. And if you tell somebody that, hey, this conversion, you're going to spend 80 to 100 grand, people are not expecting that because their mate did it in their shed for what he's saying, or telling you is 20 grand, but he's not taking into account all those other purchases that he did that he didn't add into it, and
or labour
and the labour. Often if you start to cut corners or do things yourself with a lack of knowledge, it's going to cost you more in the long run.
So with building a car, obviously the more that you send out or third-party help required, the longer the timelines, the more you're relying on other third parties and infrastructures to aid you. So we try to do a lot of it in-house. Our fabrication is quite intense in-house now. Machines that we just can't afford to have or don't have the space to have, like mandrel benders or CNC machines, we outsource that sort of work still. We build all our own engines in-house. We get some machine work done externally that we have to, but most of what goes into a car happens in-house. Going back to what you just said, you can build a car for $15,000, $20,000 in your shed. I've done it when I was younger, and that's how I fell into the trap. I thought, well, I've built a few of these cars. I've put some RB25s in S13s, and it cost me $6,000. And I've added up the lump sum components and added some time on, and I've quoted customers. So the Tirana we did, the 1UZ back in 2013. That was a $4,500 conversion to the customer. He dropped his Tirana off. We supplied a 1UZ engine, did a W58 manual gearbox conversion, installed it in the car, made a tail shaft, wired it, got the car running, and it went onto a track.
Wow.
And he paid $4,500. Today, that would be...
For reference, a Falcon tail shaft's like $2,600 these days.
Exactly.
Tail shaft.
That would be a $60,000, $70,000 build today. Yeah. And we'd probably walk away with making, maybe 8 to 10 grand profit at the end of that project. Yeah. And that money is there for warranty, support, keeping the doors open, being able to improve the business. It's not much money left over for the commitment of 50, 60 grand spent. Yeah. So, and that's still true for all conversions we do. If someone gives us $80,000 to build a car, it's not we've got $80,000 in our pocket and we've spent $7,000 on some hardware. It's
no way.
It's not that at all. Yeah. We might make, 6 to 8% of that money as profit if everything goes right.
And that, exactly. I was about to say that. So let's just say out of 10 cars, how often are you making that 6 to 7%?
Most of the time we break even.
Yeah.
A lot of the time, most of the time we break even, but some of those times we do lose money. Yeah. It's hard to measure, but I just know from time having to redo something or absorbing either a mishap or something unforeseen, or we forgot to quote on the steering joints and there's $600, but we just have to throw it in now because we've quoted and
You quoted the job.
this type of customer isn't going to understand why we're adding that on now. And, we're the professionals, we should have seen that. And, you're building a car. But I often have this analogy with a customer. We've built, some V10 E46 M3s. We're doing another one at the moment. If you went to BMW and said, hey, guys, in Munich, I've got an E46 M3. I'd like you to put your S85 in it from the M5 and make it fully functional and road legal and engineered, what would BMW come back at you with the price tag? I'm sure it'd be, $400,000?
Maybe,
$600,000? Maybe,
Right.
if they wanted to do it, if they could do it. We're charging, we did one, we charged about 40 grand for the first one we did, and we lost $30,000 on that project.
Yeah.
That customer was working with us to experiment with the idea and expected us to come up with what it would cost. We came up with that number. This was 6 or 7 years ago, and we were way off. And even today, we're doing one that's more like $80,000, $90,000. We're still just covering costs with it and perfecting it, but we're certainly nowhere near what the manufacturer would charge for the same solution.
For sure.
So I don't know BMW at all, so I can't picture that car. I don't know what you're talking about, basically. but I assume it's something pretty special.
Yeah, imagine like a VF Commodore sedan, front engine, rear wheel drive car with a Lambo V10 engine in it.
Yeah, okay.
But it had to be fully functional.
Yeah.
It had to be engineered. Aircon has to work. You got to be able to get in it and drive it in all conditions and be happy.
Yeah, okay. Gotcha.
Who's going to build that car,
No,
and how much is it going to cost?
Crazy.
So,
yeah, I guess, and people's expectations have only grown. They've only become higher as time goes on. Power levels increasing. 1,000 horsepower is the new norm, right? Or when people were doing conversions they just wanted to throw a standard engine in at standard turbo. Now it's all like, let's go 400 kilowatt.
Yeah.
But they don't understand that that's built engine, which then, straight away there's just 10, 15 grand. Turbo setup, fuel system, injectors, fuel pumps, all the rest of it. It all adds up.
Yeah, you modify something in the engine, then you've got drivetrain, gearbox, axles, CV joints, clutch, diff. All these things need to be upgraded as well.
Yeah.
And what are we going to put in? Who's supplying an upgraded option for each of these components? Who has to think about how are they all going to work together and be balanced?
Yep.
So when we build a car, we're not focused too much on power. I know there's everyone's after power in a lot of industries with certain cars. Our focus is more of a well-balanced car, so something you could drive at 90% in a corner and still have the confidence it's going to just hang in there, but you've got that bit of reserve for, everyone wants a bit of reserve in power, I think.
Yep.
So we have to try and design the car with all those components to work together, be reliable, and for the car to be balanced. So that alone is a challenge.
Should have got into Porsche.
I've never driven a Porsche.
Oh, you poor thing.
Yeah, I'm missing out.
100%.
Yeah, pretty good.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, well, maybe.
Balanced.
It's German.
German.
So I could probably do that.
Yeah.
You were talking about sort of streamlining your packages and making conversion kits and whatnot. And I was thinking, what's some tooling involved in that? Like, do you have a laser cutter or folder or things like that?
So we've got a gentleman that comes into our shop and he draws. He has some cutting equipment in some sheds on property out near us, and he's virtually like a contractor. He only works sort of for us. He does his own things, but he's kind of like an employee, I guess, in a way.
Yep.
He's as good as being there when we need him to design and draw and cut whatever we need. Previous to him, we were just using third-party laser cutters and relying on them to draw something and make it for us, and that's where we still get all that type of material from. So we don't do that in-house. It's more cost-effective to pay $13 for a cut piece of steel than it is to have a $50,000 laser cutter in a room this big that you might use once every 2 weeks to cut some small pieces. It doesn't make sense for us to do that.
Yeah.
But building engines and making our own mounts and putting these parts together in a chassis in our shop. We have to do that. So we have to always build a prototype, I guess, and it's always evolving as well.
Yeah.
So each customer's car might get a few improvements, and if we find that it's worthy of jigging up, we'll then apply that to our range and release a version 2 or 3 of a component that we've already got.
Yeah.
So most of our kit parts are hand fabricated. We're not using a CNC machine, or we don't have billet mounts and bits and pieces like that. But yeah, so just about everything is hand fabricated in-house on a chassis the first time, and then jigged up and then replicated.
Yeah.
The biggest reason for that is because if we were just in the business of selling mounts, so we want to mount an LS in a BMW, we could do a nice CNC piece and we could sell them worldwide, and then the customer will buy that and install the engine in the car. Then they're going to say, right, well, what about the headers and the steering, and this doesn't quite fit, and what about fitting the heater hoses on the firewall and still having room around the back of the engine, and then where's the airbox going to sit, and what about the power steering pulley and this being in the way? So all our kit parts have been built from start to finish so the whole car works. So that part works with that part, works with that part. They might look industrial or be handmade, as Josh said, but we know that you want to have a complete solution where the car can be turnkey on the road and used, and a DIY can buy those with confidence.
Yeah. No, 100%. Because there's things that get overlooked, like
engine position.
Yeah.
So people will cheat where the engine goes to make their mounts work, but they haven't thought about all the follow-on things that have to happen for the rest of the car to work.
Yep.
So anything we've made is a product of having finished that car and seeing that the product will work as a finished car, not just mounting the engine or a tail shaft that'll join that diff and gearbox. There's a lot more to it than that.
And not just 1 or 2, like you're talking 10 before you get to a cookie cutter setup where you know that, hey, this we're anticipating this, or this is going to happen, or whatever. To get all that sorted before the end of the job.
Yep, that's right. And we've got 5 or 6, or probably more like 8 chassis that we work between in the BMWs with these different engine packages. So there's a fair few combinations that we have to come up with, and we're not ready to make 50 of each part yet. We're not there. We're still building cars for customers and trying to make parts for other customers. Someone who's had an axle made from us is calling us every 2 weeks for an update, and the person who's getting an E39 LS built is calling us every 2 or 3 weeks for an update.
Yeah.
So we have to update the 50 or 60 customers with cars on site, plus the 50 or 60 customers that have bought a component from us or getting something made.
Yeah.
And there's only 4 of us in the shop.
Yeah.
I've got to answer the phone, send the emails, build the engine, order the parts, design a car with Josh. I do a lot of different things myself, and that's because I have to and because I enjoy it.
Yeah.
We don't have a marketing department or an administration department. We don't have a customer service department.
And if you did have all those, then the prices of the builds would be an extra 20%.
Well, that's right. So people already have a bit of a struggle to pay what it takes to get the car built. Even if we said, look, we'll do it for free.
Yep.
These are all the parts we need to make and buy. This is what it costs for the electricity, the rent, and the machines of a facility. So we've produced a facility that costs us, say, $800,000 a year to keep the doors open.
Yep.
And that's, rent, wages, equipment, et cetera, et cetera. That's not money that we incorporate in a job. So if we could build 20 cars a year for customers, we'd almost have to say to them, right, well, you each need to give us $35,000 just to have our facility present and paid for before we start building your car and before we start billing you. No customer is going to give us 35 grand each of a pool of 20 so that we exist. Mm-hmm. We have to cover that.
Yeah.
So we've committed to doing that. And that cost isn't rounded off or covered in a build. Mm-hmm. There's still the ongoing parts and everything day to day that we have to still exist and get the car built. Yeah. That's what they're paying for. And even at that point, they have a problem with it. So, of course, not everyone proceeds with a quotation. Yeah. It's just not possible. But those who have, a lot of them are very understanding. We have a lot of very good customers, but there's still a handful of people that don't quite get it.
Yeah.
So that's another struggle as well.
And is that an age thing? Like, is that a maturity thing, or no? It doesn't change.
No. I've got some young people that are fantastic.
Yeah.
I've got some, people in their 50s that jump up and down like little kids. They've got money and you have to dance for them because they've paid you some money. Mm. Yeah. We've had people come at us with, legal proceedings and threats of legal proceedings and all sorts of things for ridiculous things that have happened, to which none of it's eventuated. It's all been dealt with fairly and resolved. But, we're all family people. We're all a small team. We're all passionate. We don't deserve that kind of negative compliance that we have to give people. Yeah. So it does sour us, but because we are so driven and passionate about it, it's just in our stride, and we're always going to deal with that sort of thing, aren't we?
Yeah.
You guys probably do. I think everyone in the automotive industry.
No, it's good when I said, "Oh, is it an age thing?" I already knew the answer. I just wanted you to say it.
Yeah, no, the age has got nothing to do with it.
Yeah, definitely.
I wasn't like that at 18.
Yeah.
At 18, I was how I am now.
Yeah,
I thought I would start to understand the real world, and I've always been my own boss. I've worked a few years as a teenager in my early 20s. I moved to Sydney when I was 20 from northern New South Wales, from a country town of 10,000. Me and a few mates used to build cars, and that was always a hobby. But I came to Sydney with other visions at the time, and there's no excuse. I moved into a one-bedroom studio at that age, and bought it. And anyone can do the same thing, I think.
Yeah.
Had no money. I just had a go at it. So I think if you're going to play with cars and have something built for you, then there has to be that type of interview, I think, between a customer and a business before you agree to do it for them.
Yeah.
But it's hard to say no, right? So here we are still
true.
dealing with these people.
And we do this as well. Like, we sort of have that interview process with the customer, especially when they're starting to spend big money, because that's almost, realistically, people say, it's like an employee interview. And it's like, well, do you know what? An employee that's on $100,000 a year is actually less risk than you spending $200,000 or $300,000 with us.
That's right.
Because we're married to that person, right?
Yeah.
An employee, you can sort of, doesn't work out. You just
That's right.
move on, right?
Yep.
So we sort of do the same thing, and you try and, I guess, gain knowledge on their personality, and you try and test the waters somehow without being rude.
Yeah, and I've given people a few chances. I had my inkling of some of these people that have been problems early on.
Yeah.
And I thought, maybe I'm wrong. I've just got to reset and see how things go, and had a second wind with them. But usually in the end, my gut's been right.
Yeah.
But, you can't judge somebody based on an initial conversation.
No, it's very hard.
If they're still prepared to pay you the money and asking you constantly to proceed, then, we feel we have to do it.
Yeah.
I guess that's a benefit of being confident in what you've done, and having done so many, what it's going to cost. So the time it's going to take. Yes, there can be little issues with whatever. Something always comes up.
Of course.
It's the unexpected, a supply issue or a whatever it is. Something always, but once you've done so many, you know what it's going to take. So then you can inform the customer of realistic timelines, realistic costs, which then that's setting the expectations, right?
Correct.
So just develops a better relationship or a better expectation of the final product, which...
So the problem that we have, and we're very aware of it, is that we just don't have the time or resources to fairly communicate these things with customers the way we wish we could.
Throughout the job, not initially.
Throughout the job. Initially, I spend the time with them, and that's probably... They might see that as misleading. Here, Laurence has spent an amazing amount of time and been very thorough, and and promised how things would go. But then 3 months in, that's changed a little bit, or it's been 2 weeks. I haven't heard from him. Like, what's going on? And it's because Laurence is delivering an engine on the back of his Land Cruiser over at Greenacre somewhere, or he's had to run off and redesign an axle with one of the engineers and get it back from heat treating because it's due in a car tomorrow, or there's an event on, and I've had to rip out of it. There's always something, and I can't please 200 people, and that's what it comes down to.
Yeah, sure.
Well, you can, but costs are going to go up, which people are already not happy to pay.
We already know they're not going to pay for that, so we're not going to invest in it.
Well, you know what's funny? It's we actually get that issue a year after we've done the build, or 6 months after we've done the build.
How so?
It's like, he doesn't. He's not close to me anymore.
Oh, yeah.
He doesn't talk to me
You've taken
anymore.
the money, the car's gone.
Yeah.
He doesn't want to know me now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the product's been delivered, so...
Yes. Yeah. I imagine building a house and then like talking to the builder like 3 years later, just and saying, "Oh, you don't call me anymore."
Yeah, yep.
You used to call me every day.
Used to call me every day while we had the car there.
Yeah,
Exactly.
No,
Like,
look, I get it.
You don't transfer me money anymore.
No,
Well, there's a lot of betrayal there, isn't there?
Yeah, sounds like I'm the bad guy.
Oh, look, I've built relationships with a lot of customers where we have become friends, and you know they probably think about the experience and enjoyed it, and maybe slightly disappointed that that's over, and they'd like to be able to come and hang out or talk to Laurence again. But it's not that I've forgotten people. I just
you're focusing on the other
Things
60
go on.
cars that are there that
Yeah.
all deserve the same time and commitment that you've
Yeah.
given to this other one. So
I
it's
think-
not that you've forgotten or they stopped paying you. You've got to continue.
I think only a busy person with a busy life, with a busy business or a busy job, would actually be able to relate to that and go, you know what, love the relationship. He's flat out with the new guy that, you know, was in my position however long ago. And the real friends that you make through business are the ones that realize that and then still pop in and sort of just cruise around and say hello, and
yes,
they're just there, you know, in the background.
absolutely.
They're the true friends.
Yes,
The ones that sit there going or whinging to other people, oh, you know, he doesn't care about me anymore. He's taking my money, and it's been 12 months or a year and a half since I've, you know, had to do anything with them. But like, he doesn't reach out to me anymore. He only did it for the business. It's like, well,
it tells you a lot about the person. Like I got a call on Sunday from a good customer, which is now friend. Random call. Hey, how you doing? I know you've been stressed. Do you want to go get a coffee? Like, so there are good people out there.
oh yeah, yeah.
And
that's
and does
sweet.
he have a business? Is this person?
he doesn't, but he's high
Sounds
up in
like
what
a
he
she.
does.
Yeah,
That's not it was a she.
sounds like a shit. You want to go for a coffee?
No, just I don't know. I think it's human. I don't know.
Yeah.
Is that not?
Obviously doesn't like me.
No, he did actually ask, "What's Aaron doing?"
Oh, nice. Okay, you spoke for me.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
the start of the video.
Yeah. You get what I'm saying. Anyway.
So,
I
Joe,
get it.
what's
You
it
know
what I'm
like
saying.
working with Aaron every day?
He's unique. He's very
Painful?
unique.
Let's be honest.
Yeah, unique.
Okay.
There is definitely
I thought you
painful
were
moments.
softening the blow. No, you know what it is? You get the truth. You get the honesty. It's black and white. There's no bullshit.
I think our personalities complement each other in the way that there's not a lot of people that could work with me, and there's definitely not a lot of people that could work with Aaron or be around.
I reckon anyone
Aaron.
could work with you.
With me? Don't know.
Yeah, they just got to know who's rocking up to work that day. Whether it's Joe, Giuseppe,
Depends which one of my
Joseph.
personalities. Yeah, depends on the situation.
yeah. Hey, that's one thing that I don't change, right? I'm
No, yeah,
always
you
I'm
are-
always black
you
and
are
white,
consistent.
asshole, whatever you want
Yeah.
to call it.
Very consistent. Head in your phone. My phone's been going nuts because we've got engines at the machine shop getting worked on currently. This is all related to people expectations and whatnot, and they think that we're not replying to their messages or whatever.
Oh, and we're not allowed to actually turn off though.
Yeah.
No.
Well, it's funny. I get all the demanding emails come through usually on a weekend.
Yeah.
You know, when they're
Yeah.
not busy,
Yes.
when they've got time to think about.
Sure.
Yeah.
the
That's actually
things
quite
that-
interesting you say that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you don't reply on a Saturday afternoon, another one can come through on a Sunday mid-morning.
Yes. Oh, same person.
Oh yeah, the same person.
Oh, wow.
I get those.
Worse off or like better, or they've had to think about it?
Oh, why haven't you? You know, I sent you an email yesterday.
It's
This
been
is-
24 hours.
Well, it's 2023. You know, we've got technology. Surely your phone chimed. You know, when the email came through.
Yeah, I chose to ignore
Why
it.
haven't you? You must be ignoring it. You know, like. No, look, it is a business, but you know, it's also our lives, isn't it? So,
Yeah.
and because it is our lives, I think they know that. They think that we're always there. It's a 24/7 thing.
Yeah.
We're just there for the customers always.
I think
But-
this is where respect comes into it, and then you start to lose respect for that person, right?
That's right.
Yeah, because you know that they're disrespecting you.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Look, and I think all this comes back to that we all do actually enjoy what we're doing. We wouldn't be doing it
We
if
have
we
to be.
didn't.
Yeah, we have to be.
And
Yeah,
that's the reason they've come to you in the first place, right?
I think so.
Typically, you're sought out for what you do because people know what you do. And
So there's probably, you know, there's a few good BMW workshops around the country. We work with a lot of those, and we supply parts and support, and they refer customers to us for the things that we do, and we refer customers to them for the things that they do better and that we don't have time to do. But yeah, I think the other thing of why we're so busy is because it is kind of a unique thing that we're doing with this particular car. There's a lot of other people doing it at backyard level and in small shops or 1 or 2 man bands that are having a go at it and able to service the market where people have less money.
Yeah.
And there seems to be a bit of that attitude that, you know, they're going to take over and show people how it's done better and we can do it faster and cheaper.
That's always been like, that's forever.
Yeah.
And then eventually that person will end up at your level now when you're at the next level in 10 years.
Well, I think,
and then there's the new guy that comes. I've seen it in the same way that we do business.
well, if you've worked hard and you're doing the right thing, that can't be taken away.
Yep.
And if you're 10 years in front of others doing that,
Always.
then you'll always be 10 years
Correct.
in front. Unless you're doing the wrong thing, cutting corners, cheating people,
Yep.
then the others will overtake you, and you know that happens as well.
Yeah, the whole overtaking thing I don't agree with. I believe in sort of, you know, what you're saying there. They'll step up into the same position that you are, but then the price has changed, the times have changed.
Yep.
So then they'll get it. I've been there. I've been the guy that's quick and cheap. I've then been the guy that's expensive and takes a bit longer. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And then I've seen the guy that was quick and cheap become what we were, and now we're even dearer and still pretty quick. But yeah, it's,
Well, I think someone adding value to the industry, and I always look at, you know, who's adding value or how is value being added, because that's what it comes down to. I've always been very transparent with how to do things or sharing information or showing how we do things or what we do with videos or whatever. And a lot of people have said to me, well, you know, that's bad. People are going to take your ideas. They're going to copy you. You know, you're giving away your secrets. But
yeah,
if you're good at what you do, you don't have time to go and look at other people's work and copy it and stop doing what you do and start doing what they do. If you don't have time and you're not good at anything and you rely on copying other people or doing what they do, then you're not good anyway, or you're always just following, or you're in the shadow. So
for sure. Yeah.
I believe in transparency and showing people what's being done and how it's done. People enjoy it. It's entertaining.
It gives trust as well.
It gives trust.
Yeah, that's the same as us. We're very online in terms, or even our website. Like people can set their pricing based off our pricing. We're the only ones that list it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we could be
find that.
considered expensive. I'm not even sure. We're probably average in the market, but at least we advertise it.
So let's talk about that for a moment. Let's talk about an hourly rate at a workshop. And I don't know, what's your average hourly rate?
We're $220 an hour.
Okay, so we're $165 an hour, looking to go up to $185 an hour soon.
Yeah.
And I use that as a guide. I don't know if you guys use it as a guide or it's your Bible go-to for how you charge work.
It's how we charge work. The difference is, I guess your guide is, I think it's different for you guys. I feel like you would quote a lot of your work, right, for conversions and whatnot, or do you just quote hours only?
We break down what we think it's going to take us to build the car with where it's at now. We have components on the shelf we've made. Each component has a price.
Yes.
Whether you buy it from us or we put it into the build and we charge you for it, it's the same
It's
price.
It's got the labour in that component already, plus the
There's a bit of labour in it. There's
material
a bit of,
costs.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's right. So we do have a package price.
Yep.
You want an LS3 E30 built? Well, we have a pretty comprehensive list of what goes into it. Each part, a block of hours, the engineering, the tuning. It can always change based on the car, what we get. Things could be out of condition of what they should be. We have to do extra work, whatever. But it also comes down to, what does it cost to run your business? What is your hourly rate of cost to keep the doors open? So you look at all your expenses for the year, you divide it by 40 hours in the week, and you get an hourly rate. Ours is about $280 an hour. It costs us to keep the doors open.
Yep.
So that's 2 technicians all day, 8-hour day, to make $330. We're making $50 an hour profit if 2 technicians bill themselves out at a full hours each a day.
Yep.
And even when you look at it that way, it's like, it's not worth it.
Yep.
What's $50? And I could just go and work for someone for $50 an hour.
We worked out last year that we were
only charging 30% of the hours that we should have been.
Yeah,
charging. So 30% hours billed versus hours done.
Right. Yeah. Well,
It sounds unrealistic, right?
No,
But we had a fight. It was a 1 week fight.
I had to. I said
prove
the
accounting's wrong.
Yep.
It's like it can't be. We wouldn't be surviving. I'm like, you're right. It's the engines, the transmissions that are keeping us alive.
And the tuning.
Yep.
It's
because you're buying time with that because we do it quicker and we get more done.
You'll be on the dyno for an hour and it's 1,200. You know, that's 1,200 an hour. And if you look at it that way,
it's 12 hours.
Yeah. Sorry to just give away a secret. But it's the R&D you've put in. It's a solution. People pay for a solution.
Correct.
You want your car tuned?
Plus
Who cares if it takes me an hour or 12? Pick up your car tomorrow, it's tuned. You know, the customer's happy, the job's done properly. That's the business we're in. You know, we need to get some benefit. We need to get ahead on a couple of things after 10, 15 years of doing the hard slog.
Sure.
You know, we've made errors that have cost us 30, 40 grand. We have workshop insurance. We haven't claimed on it. I almost feel like it's the principle of we've made an error. We're going to see it through and fix it. And we're not going to lean on insurance or make up some excuse of what's gone wrong. We learn from it. But then we build V10 engines and this is the price. We do them really well. We've done 15 or 20 of them. We know that no one else is doing them, but we're providing a solution. So we round up, you know, the costs then and make up for it later.
Yep.
And it's done fairly and justly, we feel. So it is a struggle to, if you want to start a workshop, if people want to go and start a workshop and copy and paste everything, here's all the information, here's the tools, I'll tell you how to do it. But you need to come up with some serious money to do it and some serious hard work for many years to make it happen.
Yeah. And not be willing to not make anything, if anything, lose.
Yep. And that's if everything goes right. You know, it's you break even if everything goes right.
Look, I consider ourselves professionals in what we do, and our stuff is very similar, probably less potential issues than what you have, because we only do certain models and we're not customizing anything. Well, we are, but we're not putting custom different engines in chat. Like, there's a lot of high risk with that.
You have a limited window of work and it's always there.
Yeah.
And you refine it to the point where it should work.
And it's always the same stuff. So we're reducing our risk by specialising in certain things. And we still look at it and go, is it even worth it?
Yep. Well, that's what we're trying to do. So we're trying to cut back on the commitment of building a new car or an unknown and going to making parts. And that's Josh's passion. He's getting quite heavy into the machining and fabrication side with all our stuff. And we've talked about getting a CNC machine and some other machines that Josh can learn on and run. But we're just trying to get rid of the glut of cars first and keep everyone happy. So still a good 2 years in front of us before we get fully into what we'd like to do.
Yeah. What's your sort of what's your biggest gripe when it comes to working within the industry that you're in now?
The industry? It might sound really up myself, but people not listening. Yeah. Whether it be staff or customers, you know, it's like you speak to them and they just look at you blankly like it's gone in one ear and out the other. Yep. That's probably my biggest gripe. Yeah. Yeah.
Josh is the sort of person that he has a really good skill set and he needs to just be left in his lab with his machines and do what he does really well. Yeah. I've tried to relieve him of the front line of having to deal with probably customers more so. Josh deals with staff more than I do because he's working a team on the floor each day and I'm doing everything, so I'm not always there.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's me or what it is. If I just speak way too quickly, that it just escapes them, or if I just expect too much. I think expectations are a big thing in life or in anything, in industry. I guess that, you know.
Well, expectations are everything. I think that changes. I mean, if you set yourself with zero expectations from anyone. I mean, if you expect them to respond to something you said and they don't respond, then you're going to be upset, right? Mm-hmm. If you expect them to look at you like you just spoke to a brick wall and they do that, you're going to be very happy. Hence why you're not happy. I think age does that, and talking to a lot of people, dealing with a lot of people, different personalities, and I guess feeling like you waste time. And I think that's probably what you're feeling every time when you're talking to people, and it's like in one ear out the other.
Yeah,
Just wasting
it
your
often feels quicker to do it yourself
Yeah.
than to explain to someone how to do it, and then not quite get it or not do it the way that you want it to be done.
Yeah.
That's definitely.
Did you ever have a grumpy old tradesman?
Yeah, back in the early days when I was in a dealership.
Do you still think he was grumpy?
Well, I think I'm that bloke now.
Yeah. So you can see why, right? It's time and dealing with people and knowing that you're not going to be there in 3 years anyway. So why am I even wasting my time? Like, that's how we think subconsciously. It's like, well, why am I even? I might as well not even teach you.
Yeah, I've definitely been told I have a very passive aggressive personality.
It sounds like he's a lot like me in the terms of sort of can't let go, or like exactly like you said. If I need to tell you how to do it, I might as well just do it myself. Which has been my struggle. Oh, but still, it's my struggle trying to let go of that.
Yeah.
There's certain things that it's like I have to do it because I know you're gonna fuck it up. Like,
yeah.
And no matter how many times I tell you or show you, it's gonna take you 20 or 30 times because it took me that long or longer to get it.
Yeah.
But no one knows it.
Yeah.
Apart from anyone in the office. Whereas you, if you're passive aggressive, they'll know it. They'll be told in a nice way. Sounds it's like my nickname.
It's a double-edged sword, you know. You want people to excel and become better, but after you've shown them a couple of times and they're still not quite getting it, or like I said, it comes back to those expectations. It's tough.
Yeah.
Timelines and things, you sort of, I guess when you've been in the trade as long as we have, you do things and they get to a level and you're quite quick at them or whatever, so you sort of start to expect
that from everybody else.
Exactly, yeah.
What did you do when Josh came along? You must have been like, about friggin' time.
Like I said, I had some close friends at the time help me when I started to scale up the business, and friends and business don't really mix too well.
Yeah.
I learnt that with a few people. Because you have to, like, you're the boss, or you have a vision, or not the boss, but the leader. You're the person with all the ideas and you want to execute them, and you need their help. So you're telling them something, and it doesn't go down well when you're friends, because no one wants to hear one person talk down or feel they're being spoken down to, right? So when I met Josh, I never really had a relationship with him until we started working, and it was very easy to form, can you please do this for me? Yes. And he does it, and it was done well, and it just always worked. So there was never this hierarchy of you're better than me or I'm better than you, and you get that when you start in business with friends. So when Josh came along, it relieved a lot of that, and then the challenge just came of getting good staff, and we've been through a lot of people. And I think, you look at Elon Musk, right? He's got 50,000 people working for him in his companies, and it all works. But it's the system that makes that work.
100%.
Person falls into a system. This is their parameters, and they do it. If you can't do it, you're out, and someone else will do it. In our industry, we can't have a system to accommodate for these things. It just doesn't work.
Yeah.
It's constant initiative, brains, forethought. There's so many fundamental things you need as a human to be able to work.
The word custom within the company name really wrecked that.
It did, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we should really be looking at that tire machine.
Yeah.
If we want to have, a team of employees.
It's true though. Like, we try and make it cookie cutter, and we've actually sort of, you'd assume our business is like that as well, but we do make it a lot like that. Doesn't mean we can just go get a random. Don't get me wrong. There's a lot of trust that goes into certain aspects of what we do. So we'll only let certain tradesmen do that. And they slowly get to that point. It's not something that we just let someone jump into. And
there's constant oversight. It's
depending. No, the right person does the right job. But we're getting it to the point where if one person was to leave, it's not a big deal, because we've made it cookie cutter as such. Will it take longer the first few times? Of course.
Sure.
Of course. But does it mean that they took all that IP with them? No, absolutely not. In fact, they can't even do the same job elsewhere because we've got the cookie maker here.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
So we've got a software system that we've had developed for us to try and help with this, and it's an inventory, it's a electronic job card system. There's documentation on there. So each time we do a job, we try to document it, have supporting photos, have a list of part numbers. This is where they are, to really try and refine that process.
Yeah.
And it's starting to work for us. It just depends on the type of build that we're doing. But I think until we get to that point of making components, packing them this way, and having an inventory that's solid and knowing that every part is in the shop. At the moment, we have the problem of there must be at least 50,000 used BMW parts just racked and stocked around the site. Mm-hmm. Then we've got a bunch of new parts that I order from overseas and locally and everywhere, and a box will come in, they'll get open, they get jammed on a shelf, and I know where everything is roughly, but I'm the only one that knows where it is. Yeah. There's probably about 5% of our inventory logged in our system that we're trying to add to daily. Mm-hmm. So until that happens, and a lot of other things over the next 2 years, and we finish moving in and setting up the shop, I can't expect more than what we've got. But like I said, pretty much the team that we have now are all capable of being able to do what they're asked. They've all got initiative. We've got a small team. I'm struggling to add to that team at the moment. I've had a few people linger around, but it's not working for me. Yeah. So we're going to just try and scale our commitment down now rather than try to build the team up. Yep. And see what we can do with that.
It's better for quality control as well.
Yeah.
Makes it a bit easier.
Yeah.
Yeah. You mentioned earlier that you came from IT. What sort of IT? And
so back when I lived in a country town, there wasn't a lot to do. Yeah. I started work. My first job was working in a news agency, which taught me discipline of getting up at 2 a.m. and rolling 400 newspapers and delivering those out of a vehicle to homes. And after a while, you'd leave the run sheet on the passenger seat and you'd just remember there's a Telegraph there, there's a Herald there, it's a Wednesday, they don't get it this day. So my brain got trained very early on to think and always be thinking forward and how to make the system work and how to get...
I wonder how many people don't even know that you would pre-order newspapers.
Yeah, so you'd order your newspapers a week before they were printed. They'd be flown up from Sydney on a small plane up to Ballina and then trucked from Ballina to Mawullumbar.
I think he doesn't even know.
Okay, well, I'll explain a little bit of backbone.
We're doing an age test here.
What's a newspaper?
So that magazine there is kind of similar to a newspaper, but not as colourful.
Lots of paper, black and white.
Yeah, you maybe got 3 colours in it if you were lucky.
Yeah.
So I would do that from 2:30 in the morning till 7. I'd go home for an hour, have breakfast and change into my uniform, and then I'd be back on the front counter for the day. So selling lotto tickets, selling stationery magazines, taking phone calls, dealing with customers. So I got that from the age of 16, 17. I learnt that skill set. And then for a couple of years I did that. My mother worked in a bank in town and she knew a woman who married a bloke in Sydney who had an IT company, and he would fly up and look after local credit unions with IT network infrastructure, and found out about me and asked me if I'd like to come for an interview, and went up to the bank and gave me a test of making a PC break and see if I could turn it on and make it work. And it was the memory module he unplugged a little bit, so I plugged it in and made it post and boot, and he was really impressed with that. So he offered me a job in Sydney. I worked in the local bank up there for about a year, and then he brought me to Sydney in 2001, worked for him for about a year, and then just realised that customers would call my mobile to go out on site. Yep. And I thought, I'm doing all the work here and I'm sort of making things happen. I really want to work for myself and do this for myself, so I did. And that's when I started my IT business. So I was doing Novell servers and network infrastructure across multiple sites. And then I think it was about 2009, so about 7 years I did that. And then I just started the automotive, bought a car from the auctions, wrecked it out on my driveway at home, made $4,000 1 week from selling parts. Then the council came and knocked on the door and said, you can't do that here, because people were dobbing on me for all these vans pulling up and ripping gearboxes into the side and driving off with them. I was in a townhouse. So then I rented a 90 square metre unit in North Rocks, and that's when it all started. Bought a hoist, started fitting the parts that I sold, and here we are now.
So was there always a passion for cars, or did that develop?
No, it was always a passion. So I had a VB Commodore for my first car when I was 16.
Yeah.
Had a 5-speed Toyota Supra box in it behind a 202. Then bought a VH SLE 5-litre. Manual converted that with some friends. And then it was in the late 90s when Bullet Supercars brought out their MX-5s with the front ends cut off and tubular chassis, and they had rotaries and 1UZs going in them. I thought I've got to have one of those. And a friend of mine who designed that chassis helped me build one. And so I kind of built that with him in the early 2000s when I moved to Sydney, and did a bit of IT work in that time. And then, just moved into the automotive. It was always the passion, but the passion got lost a little bit when I learned, the steep upward curve of running a business and all these struggles that we've talked about so far.
Yeah.
But I've learned how to take control of all that again, and I'm starting to enjoy it more recently.
How many
again.
hours do you do a day?
I sort of get up at about 6:37, and then I get out to the farm at about 8. So it's kind of a late start.
Yep.
And leave at about 5 or 6.
Okay.
But then when I get home, there's probably 2 or
Doesn't
3
finish.
hours of invoicing, emails, social media, return messages. So maybe up till 10 p.m. every night before I start to have a shower
Wind
and go to
down.
bed.
Yeah.
Weekends I'm out at the farm. I call it the farm, but at the workshop.
Yep.
And I've started a collection of big old engines and things that I really enjoy, like, big truck C15 Cat engines, and I've got a 27-litre Rolls-Royce V12 that I'm pulling apart at the moment in the engine room, and I've got a channel called Now We're Talking if you want to see that come apart.
Right.
Yeah, awesome.
It's got three episodes we've done,
Yeah.
100,000 views each. So
Yeah, cool.
it's sort of
That's cool.
World War II history and aircraft and aviation's a big passion of mine. So I've started collecting some old aircraft engines that we're doing that with, and
Wow.
I enjoy that stuff. So having the business and the day-to-day stuff that I also enjoy, engines, allows me to be able to start building my rat rod truck that I want to do and play with this other stuff. So I've re-engaged with my passion in the last sort of year or two.
Yeah.
And
Because we lose that, right?
I'd lost it for a while.
Yep.
And even with our Brintech YouTube channel, we haven't put a lot up for a while, and it's not because we don't want to. It's time is one thing, but also I don't want to force myself to do a video and put it up when I'm not really into it at the moment.
Yep.
And I just haven't really been into it for the last couple of years because work and the move's been
Stressful.
very taxing.
Yep.
And I just want to get back to a point where I'm happy doing it all again, and it's coming back, which is good.
Yeah. Awesome.
It's easy to lose.
Yeah.
So do you ever get stressed out, Josh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
A few of his toolbox drawers don't close properly. So
Okay.
Yeah. There's
Anymore?
a nice knuckle mark in the back of the toolbox.
Yeah. Okay.
Not so much these days. When I was younger, I used to get stressed a lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
Probably even.
Yeah, you always seem quite calm.
Probably even not in the last.
Year or two.
6 months to a year. I haven't been super stressed, I don't think.
I try to let him do whatever he wants. Josh has kind of got an authority of his own that
You know that.
he can do whatever he likes. Like last week, he said, I'm going to Bali for a week. I said, okay.
Sweet.
Not good timing, but okay. Enjoy it. No problem.
No, because you know that
It's
he's there every other day.
I don't.
Doesn't need to prove himself.
I don't have to tell Josh to do anything. I just have to inform him on what needs to be done, and
He
it's as
makes
good as
things-
done.
Exactly.
It makes it easy for me.
Sure.
So Josh has got his own realm, his own rules. It's his environment as much as it is mine.
Yeah, he works for himself within your
Yeah.
space. Yeah. Yeah, very good. Interesting.
And what was your first car, Josh?
First car, my old man brought me a Mazda 626, 1980 model, rear-wheel drive. Learned to drive in the backyard in Penrith, up and down the driveway. That was pretty cool. I thought when he came home with that, and spent every afternoon working on it and pulling it apart and making it better.
How old were you there?
I would have been 16.
Yeah.
What colour was it?
White.
Okay. We had a blue one. That was our first car, a Mazda 62680 model.
Really? There you go. Didn't know that.
Yeah.
So I think I drove it to work on traffic plates to get it registered after I'd worked on it, and started driving it on my license when I got it.
Yeah, wow.
So
And has there always been a passion for cars, or?
always, yeah. I think being a mechanic was just my destiny. From when I was, 5 years old, all I wanted to do was be a mechanic and work on cars. And
do you know where it came from? Like, is dad
dad's a chippy.
Yeah.
I was thinking about this today, and I was thinking, I wonder if it was dad's influence of building things. Like he extended our house when we were living there when we were young, and you always come home and there'd be something to build or something to do, or he'd let you, play with the timber in the backyard and screw it together and pull it apart and all that. So I think it probably did come from there.
It's a mindset, right? Like being a mechanic or being hands-on with anything is understanding what you're doing or trying to work out
how things work.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm the same. So my father wasn't very mechanical or automotive related, but he was always tinkering and making stuff downstairs under the house. And I got to play with a drill when I was like 6 or 7 years old. And it was always, I had an uncle that was a fitter and turner. Learned how to weld when I was 13, 14 with a MIG welder. And
yes.
yeah,
I was waiting for that.
yeah. He's a British fellow actually. So
he'd be smart.
Yeah. Very much into his...
Was he angry?
No, very calm.
Okay. Like me.
Very much like you, from what I've seen.
Yeah, so I think that's probably where it stemmed. And like even, in my early teens, the old man was always very, go and do it. Like very, you want to build something, go and build it. Go in the shed, use whatever timber you want or whatever. There's the screws, there's the hammer. Yeah. So I think that bit of a push just sort of early on gave you the drive to do really what you wanted to do.
Yeah. So we brought this up before, but it's worth mentioning again because we have yet another, I guess, director of a big automotive company who's not a mechanic.
Me? So I never did any training. I never went to TAFE. I sat an exam at the Institute of Automotive Mechanical Engineering when I started the business to get my trade certificate. So I'm a mechanic.
Oh, you are?
On paper.
That's cool.
But I don't think any qualification is learnt from theory. No. It's just, I completely throw that out the window. I love building engines, so that's where my brain and thought processes go when I think about mechanical. I think about how engines work, pulling those apart, rebuilding them, measuring. I'm always learning. Every day I'm learning something from someone. I have a real thirst for knowledge and to understand how things work, and I have to really get to the bottom of it and understand it. And I think from that, I've just honed my skills on being able to do things based on wanting to know how to do it.
100%. It's the only way to do it.
Yeah.
Do you think that's getting lost these days? Do you have children or?
I've got a little girl. She's 4, and I'm excited to start showing her some of this stuff and get her involved. I am off the tools a lot more than I used to be, but some days I'll just force myself to go into the engine room or pull an engine apart and do some work with tools again. You want to make sure you haven't lost the knack, like dropping sockets and fumbling and dexterity with fingers and doing, it's important to me. I have to make sure that doesn't go.
Yeah.
Do you feel like
too late?
Do you feel more that you've achieved something when you physically do something versus spending the day on the phone or the office or an email or a quote or whatever? Yeah,
it's tangible evidence that something's happened. I can look at it and, if I've stripped an engine and it's gone through the hot wash and it's all racked and preserved, it's gone from that to that. I can see the change. But if I reply to 35 people and send 15 quotes and get 30 grand in the account.
You've done nothing. Yeah.
It's not tangible. I may as well go work in a bank or, nothing against bankers. I've got family in the bank and, finance people. But for me, I like to be able to reflect back on and show some tangible evidence of what's been done. So ultimately a car roll out of the shop and I've got to drive it over to see Yavuz from Unigroup and, get it certified. That's a real thrill to me is that it's all come together. The guys have done their bit. The ideas come together and I'm driving the car and there it is. So there's some tangible evidence of what it's all about.
Yeah.
And giving it to the customer and letting them enjoy it and smile. And that's ultimately what needs to happen.
Yeah. So it's rewarding in that way. And is there any standout jobs that you can think of like that really impressed? Like I really impressed myself with that one.
There's cars that have impressed me that we've done.
Yeah.
but then the customer that's owned the car
Has
has not been
depressed you.
grateful or acknowledged what's gone into it to make it happen.
Yeah.
And I've kind of just blocked those cars out of my brain.
It's a shame.
I don't even want to mention one that's
Wow.
recent because it was such a good car, and it's not even like the owner of the car and the car do not belong together.
Wow.
Doesn't
Yeah.
deserve to have it.
Doesn't deserve to have it.
No.
Yeah. Based on what it takes to do that.
Based on what it takes and based on his response and reaction over the whole process and the outcome of it all,
Yeah.
it was really souring to see a person respond the way that he did after getting the car. Not even just thanks mate, good car, but showing it off to everyone how good it is and that it's his creation. It's his car and he came up with the idea and he thought of the colour, and if it wasn't for him, that car wouldn't exist. It's kind of a bit like that. I think our own cars that we build are probably the ones that I think of. We've been building the same types of cars over and over for quite a number of years, so
Yeah.
I forget which one came first or what we've done more of, but anything with a V8 in it is my passion.
Mm-hmm.
And anything that's really well balanced. So I could give you the keys and you take it for a drive, and there's not much you could come back and say, this is way out of whack, or I would do this, I would do that. It's come together really well. It's like a factory built car.
Yeah.
So anything that's OEM or factory like, as if it was built by the manufacturer,
course,
That's what you target.
That's the goal.
when that's the goal,
Yeah.
that they're the ones that stand out. And I think,
Yeah.
it's perfect. It's come together really well.
Yeah, wow.
And that's generally one of our goals.
Yeah.
As we build cars, the OEM finish and driving like an OEM car, that's one of the goals is, in the back of our mind when we're building a car.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the heater hose is a rubber hose that's clamped with plastic fittings there, not a braided silver hose with, speed flow fittings on them. And
Yeah.
that's not the look
It's
we're
OE.
going for.
Yeah.
Mm.
So people open a bonnet of a BMW and see an LS in there, and quite often people say, wow, it looks like a BMW setup. It's just, I know it's not a BMW engine, but the way everything's dressed around the bay, it looks OEM.
Yeah.
It's just,
meant to be there.
Yeah.
meant
Yeah,
to
it
be.
doesn't stand out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
that's what we aim to do.
Mm.
Yeah, nice.
Is there any standouts for you, Josh?
In the BMW world or over my sort
Overall,
of...
actually.
Overall?
Yeah.
One car that for some reason, just really sticks in my mind is a GTR,
Yeah.
an R32 that I built, many years ago, and it was an old school style build where it was a T88 turbo and a real clunky H-pattern gearbox and stuff, and just driving that car had so much character and so much power, and
So raw, so much emotion.
it was like driving a steam train. You know what I mean? Like it got up and going, and then it just kept going. It was just
Yeah.
So that probably rings in the back of my memory.
It's fulfilling, right? Like, to finish a project like that and to drive it, feel it, experience that emotion that you get from it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I could put a real damper on things and say that when I drive my 75 series cab chassis Land Cruiser with a little bit of a load on the back, and it's, I'm dropping into third and it's back up on boost up, I love that more than anything else I drive. I don't know why. I'm a real diesel dick.
Yeah.
And at the moment, I've got an old International truck. It's a C1500. It's just like a little cab with a big long bed on it. I've got a 3208 Cat 10.4 litre V8 engine for it with a 15-speed box I've made work behind it. That's going in. I dream about getting that thing built and driving that up Old Windsor Road. I don't know why, but that stuff, that's where I'm at the moment.
How old are you?
42.
When did you start changing?
Changing from normal stuff to weird stuff like diesels.
I'm trying to work out how long I've got.
Well, so my best mate was a truck driver for 15 years, and he used to drive some of the flashiest trucks on the road. He used to work for QFM, and like everything was B double.
Yeah.
Like a Kenworth with a C15 in it. I'd jump in, the driver's seat would be halfway up, from here to Newcastle, and it'd be on cruise control, and we'd just switch seats, and I'd jump in, and
Yeah.
it
So you've loved it forever.
yeah, I've been around them, and I've just felt the power of a big diesel engine, and it's just something that doesn't leave you.
Yeah.
18 gears, Jake brakes. There's just something about it. You can't get that from a car.
Yeah.
And I've always thought, how can I put one of these engines in a car, or how can I put one in my Land Cruiser? But it's not possible. So now I've actually bought a vehicle big enough that I can put one of these engines in that weighs 4 ton, but has a 3,000 Newton meter torque at 1200 engine in there with Jakes and 18 gears behind it. So it's a weird thing.
That's pretty cool.
You have to be around it to understand it.
Yeah. I'd love to have the time to think about it.
I've thought about it for even before I had the workshop, I used to think about it.
Yeah.
But just now I'm starting to try to make it happen. But ignore all that.
I'm going to have a conversation with you in about
BMWs.
4 years and see how it's going.
Yeah. When you want to get into a Kenworth, let me know. And
Oh, God. Questions?
Yeah,
Is
we've
it
got some
question
questions come through.
I've got some questions too, don't I?
Do you?
I hope so.
Let me ask these ones first. So we've got some BMW specific questions come through.
Shoot.
You went from E30 swaps to E46s. Why did you skip over the E36s?
We didn't. E36 owners are a bit weird. BMW owners are a bit weird, to be honest. If I'm being honest. The E36 is a good chassis, and it was a vastly improved chassis over the E30 as far as stability and a bit more high speed around a track. They do hang on. They're a lot better. Although the E30 is good, it's a small nugget that went around Bathurst well, as we saw in the E30 M3s. But the interiors are real ratty. The door cards are shit. They really fall apart. So for a good handling car, the interiors really let them down. You can't buy parts for them. It just feels like a really shit BMW to sit in and drive. You either go old school E30, which I get, but E46 was just so much better of an interior. And it's just that step up into a modern car. It's pretty timeless. I could get in an E46 today and be quite happy with the technology in it, the feel of the interior, and it's a really good all-round chassis. It's a very timeless chassis, the E46.
Yeah, wow.
So E30 Classic, really fun retro classic car. E46 is a really good all-round timeless chassis and cheap.
Yeah.
You buy one for $1,000.
Is there still plenty around, or?
There's heaps around. They're going to go up in value, I think. There's still an untouched car.
Yeah.
Front engine, rear wheel drive, excellent handling. It'll outperform a VF Commodore in handling.
Is that anything to go off?
Is that?
I don't know. Ask the guys that live out at Shelby or Cessnock. I don't know.
Yeah.
Look, the Commodore's the Australian car, right?
Yeah.
And
It's not what I compare to when it comes down to handling.
What's your idea of
apples with apples? But you took same year model cars versus the same year model E46. So a Commodore mid 2000s versus a mid 2000s BMW.
Yeah, so VX Commodore and E46. In fact, I think they share the VX Commodore. I think has the same part number, adjustable seatbelt slide on the B pillar as an E46. I think. I'm pretty sure someone can probably.
Is this justifying the handling comparison?
It's to say that they're the same car.
Right.
Apples
So
for
I think
apples.
997 GT3 Porsche 2002 to 04 maybe roughly. That's a good comparison. Maybe not cost-wise.
Well,
And I haven't checked the seatbelt thing.
do they have a seatbelt?
Yeah, I have a seat. Yeah, and a harness.
Race
Okay.
harness.
Yeah.
I think there's a big
The price difference,
price
right?
difference there. Yeah.
So
Look-
BMW is the same price as
Look,
the
an
whole.
affordable front engine rear wheel drive family car.
Yep.
You got Mercedes, you got Falcon, Commodore, BMW.
How do the Mercs go up against it?
I know nothing about them.
Okay.
A Merc to me feels like a gentleman's car. It's soft and luxurious, but clunky to sit at the steering wheel in. I don't know. There's just a disconnect between what they should be.
Yep.
BMW is really a driver's
Raw.
car.
Yep.
You've got your handling, you've got your comfort, your luxury. I don't know. I think the BMW ticks the boxes for me. Audi doesn't even come close. All this weird four-wheel drive, front-wheel drive, weird configuration.
Fast. Yeah.
Yeah. What?
Fast.
Oh, yeah. Well, the Lamborghini's fast. That's an Audi, isn't it?
No,
I
I can't stop thinking about the Pikes Peak, that Audi Quattro thing.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
ridiculous.
Yeah. Oh, look,
That's
there's
classic stuff.
Yeah. Oh, look, old school Euro cars are definitely a level above.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Isn't that the car that holds the record of Pikes
Pikes Peak, I think so.
Before
Highly
they
modified.
changed the road, and so it all always hold the record forever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's an Olin here. So these cars are designed for the colder environments of Europe. Do you do anything during conversions to them to make them more reliable for the Australian environment?
The engine's the big part. We do upgrade the cooling system where we can. Everything's very plastic orientated in these cars. I don't know how truthful it is that the Australian climate does degrade them. I think it's just more they were built for a time frame of, say, 4 years. You know, they say the gearbox oil is a lifetime service interval, which is 100,000 Ks or 4 years in their mind. In Australia, we tend to hang on to cars for 10 or 15 years and fix
minimum.
them and, you know, run them for thousands of kilometres a week sometimes.
Yeah.
They were never designed for that. So I think we're pushing the boundaries of these European cars to what they were intended for. But certainly I think the hotter conditions are probably a factor to consider.
They do tend to run hot. So, you know, where your Jap cars will run at 85, 95 degrees most of the time. The BMWs will run at 105 most of the time.
Wow.
For
So
emissions.
when you've got
Yeah.
plastic rocker covers and plastic hose ends, and you can see the point that they're getting at where they run hot, and then we're in a hot climate on top of that. So yeah, things do degrade. It's plastic, I guess.
You can easily service all those things. You could say, right, well, every 2 years I'm going to buy a complete new cooling system kit, radiator hoses, but no one does that. You know, it might be a $2.5 grand commitment. People just want to service it with oil and drive it.
Yeah.
You know, it's in the wrong hands, they deteriorate. In the right hands, they'll go forever. That's probably a more accurate.
Yeah. Interesting. Another one is compare the BMW V10 to the Lamborghini V10.
I've got some actual data on one application. So we dynoed a 2012 rear-wheel drive Gallardo that we were about to supercharge. It was a white one. It's on our channel. You can see it. It made 376 horsepower at the wheels. An M5 V10, which is a 5 litre. So NA V10 versus the 5.2 litre NA V10 in the Lamborghini made 440 horsepower at the wheels.
Yeah, wow.
So that's 65 horsepower more
Yeah.
from a slightly smaller capacity engine.
Yeah.
Both quad cam, both got variable cam timing, I assume. I don't know a lot about the Audi V10, the Lamborghini V10. I assume they've got inlet and exhaust cam
Correct.
timing, both banks.
Yeah.
So as a comparison, I just found it interesting that that engine output is quite higher than the Lamborghini. I don't know why.
Assuming it's probably camshaft design or ports like cylinder head.
Are they CNC ported from factory, the Lambo V10s?
Yeah,
sort of.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
they've got all that on there.
Yeah.
I mean, we could look at exhaust valve size. We could flow a head. I don't know
Yeah.
if you guys have a head. We could put one on a flow bench and compare it to one that we've got and just see if it's in the head.
No, we know how to fix that.
Yeah.
Boost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've never boosted one.
Yeah.
Maybe we need to boost one.
I think so.
Okay.
Not sure if that early Lambo has that Vanos like what the BMW does.
2012 it was.
What's Vanos?
I imagine it would. Vanos is variable cam timing.
Oh,
That's
okay.
a German word
Yep.
for
Yeah.
something.
VC. Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
so just variable cam
Yeah.
on the intake or something.
Yeah, it's
Intake and exhaust.
it's
Okay.
infinitely variable within its mechanical
Yep.
limit. So
Yep.
it's not like an on-off. It is. It'll adjust the cam hubs to
Yep.
exactly where they want them.
Yep.
Yeah. These engines have that.
Being a mid-engine car as well, the Lambo and rear-wheel drive, I would have thought there would have been some parasitic or less parasitic loss from that drivetrain compared to the M5 as well.
Yeah.
But so if we put that engine in front of a Lambo box and put it in, would it make more than 440? Maybe, I don't know. But I found it interesting anyway because it's a very comparable engine.
Yeah. We were talking about this briefly off air, and yeah, you've done a few conversions, and there's a couple coming up or a couple that are near completion.
So we did a V10 and a 46 M3 about 6 or 7 years ago. It was a one-off. We've only done the one.
Yeah.
We're finishing one now it's like a version 2. It's very similar. We're going an aftermarket computer on this one and a few other changes just to get a bit more control of the engine. We had a lot of tuning problems with the first one that we eventually solved, but it required Dave from Silverwater Automotive Services helped us with that. So the factory computer in the BMW V10 is quite complex. It's got a 10 megabyte calibration file in it. So I don't know if with an E46 M3, it's a 32 kilobyte size file in the computer. These were a 10 meg. So very complex tables, very hard to find things.
Yeah.
But we're able to get around it. But we didn't want to go through that again. So we're taking control with an M150 and this one.
Yeah.
And we've got a couple of other V10s in some other chassis that are happening as well. We haven't decided on the computers for those yet.
Well, obviously. The M150.
You'll have a base map and everything ready to go.
Yeah, then it's just cookie cutter.
We're right in the middle of that right now. So yesterday we started trying to find out what's out there, what S85 base maps exist, what throttle bodies they're using. Are they using the CAN control? Are they using analog? Are they converting hardware in the throttle system to make it more friendly to set up? We don't know. We're probably going to get your guys help on that.
Yeah.
Seeing as though we got the computer from you.
Yeah. Yeah, nice. Is it my question time?
It's time for your questions. Yeah.
All right, cool. I'm excited. Okay, I'm going to alternate between you two guys. I'm assuming you've watched some of the podcasts and you know that what this is all about.
I've seen a couple of them, so I've got a little bit of an insight on some of the questions.
Where this is going to go.
I like surprise, so I haven't seen anything yet.
So I'm going to alternate between the two of you, and you've got about 4 seconds to respond with the first answer that comes to your head. Okay, don't think too deep.
Okay.
You can't really stuff it up. Josh, favourite body part?
This muscle up here.
Well, is that the one you rub when when someone gives you the shits or doesn't listen?
The lats.
The lat.
The lats, yeah.
Oh, the ones on between your shoulder and your neck.
Yeah.
Is that your favourite
It's my favourite muscle.
on your body?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. I was just checking. Maybe they were handles. Laurence, if you were a fruit, what fruit would you be?
Banana.
Interesting. Seems to be a male choice.
Oh, we were banana farmers growing up, so that's probably an unfair question for me.
Gotcha. Josh, what was your last Google search? And it better not be our address.
Mine was.
I know what it is because I knew what the question was, so I looked at it today to see what it was. It's the Ream hot water service because our hot water went out the other day. Sunday we're in...
So you haven't Googled since Sunday?
No. Sunday we're in Bali and our 13-year-old son calls us and says there's no hot water.
Wow.
So very, very nice local plumber went around and had a look at it for us and sorted it out.
Where would we be without mobile phones?
Yeah.
Okay, Laurence, back to you. Last impulse purchase. Oh, God. Has this got something to do with a diesel or a truck?
It does. It was a white truck, a white road boss. It's what Western Star used to be called before they were Western Star.
Yeah, right.
I saw it on Marketplace and I went and bought it. It's still sitting on the property. I haven't
This
started.
is a full size, like prime mover.
A tipper,
It's a big truck.
Yeah.
What for?
Well, it's got a 14-litre Cummins 400 big cam engine in it, and I haven't got one of those yet.
Right.
Me either.
And I can put
Same.
and I can put the C15 in there if
It doesn't fit in the other thing.
Well, I want to. The C15 has to go into something, and it can go into that. So I bought that.
And then what do you do with that?
That'll be our shop tow vehicle.
You just have to make an excuse
I just have to do everything to make that happen. Yeah.
What the? This is ridiculous.
You have to come out and have a look.
We'll get there one day.
We'll do a will it start video on it because I haven't started it yet.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, nice.
Okay, Josh. What is the weirdest food you have ever eaten? It's a new one.
You just went to Bali.
Yeah, it wasn't too...
Cockroaches?
Yeah, I was going to say.
No, I was urging on the side of caution as it was.
So no tap water.
No.
That's flirting with danger. Isn't it?
Probably... I had some weird stuff when we were in India one time, like... I couldn't even know what it was, but, you know, it tasted good.
Yeah. Yeah, nice. Okay, what invention do you think is the most useless ever?
Selfie stick.
Do you know what?
What?
That's bang on.
It's stupid.
It's ridiculous.
Is that not far enough away? Like,
That
is it got to be a bit further, or
some of these questions I wouldn't even be able to answer, right? Like I'd be like,
I don't know where that
but
came
that's
from.
perfect.
There's a lot of stupid things
Yeah,
these
that's
days.
bang on.
And it didn't take me long. My brain just sort of flashed through and I saw that one.
Very fast thinker. Tell me something you think is true that nobody else agrees with you on. It's a hard one, isn't it?
It is a hard one. I can only think of things that other people think are true, but I don't believe. Like,
Yeah, you're right.
Flat Earth.
yeah.
You don't. You?
No, I don't believe.
Okay.
Do you?
In what?
Flat Earth. The moon landing.
Mate, we have listeners
I don't know.
of all types.
We're not going there.
A really
let's
good
leave
friend
that
of
one out
mine
of it.
who's an engineer and software engineer, brilliant person, really good friend of mine.
Yep.
Thinks the Earth's flat.
Yep.
I don't know if he's just having a go at me but yeah.
I have a bit of a saying that often smart people do dumb things. And it's sort of along those lines.
Or is it us that are dumb and
why,
them being smart?
why are they doing the dumb thing then?
We think it's dumb. We don't get it.
They're that smart that
They're doing dumb
We
shit.
don't
we're
understand.
missing the point.
They couldn't. Yeah, they could. Yeah. Well, yeah. I don't know. I'm just
I
trying
like mine better.
to. Yeah, your idea's better. No, you're right. Yeah. Okay. So you can't think of anything then.
No.
Okay. Don't worry. I can't think of anything either. Laurence, what's been the most memorable moment of your career so far?
I know I'm not meant to think about it for more than 4 seconds. It's a hard one.
Selfie stick come quick.
It did. I don't know. There's a few. I can't
Memorable.
pick one.
Doesn't have to be good. It can be bad.
Memorable.
We usually think of the bad stuff.
I was only thinking good, so.
Well, I think good's good.
Say the question again, sorry.
What has been the most memorable moment of your career so far?
Career. So my automotive career. I think meeting the Mighty Car Mods boys, I think that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
That was a recent thing in the last few years and I enjoyed it.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. I'm glad you're happy we met. Something so soon and
Which one are you?
forgot about it.
Which one are you?
Nah, I'm just thinking that like this is just now and he's not even thinking about
This
us.
isn't career related though, is it?
Nah. Well,
Might be career suicide.
for you. Oh God. Nah. If you describe yourself as an animal, which would it be and why, Josh?
I don't know. Silverback gorilla. Because he's real angry looking, but he's probably not that bad.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Interesting.
You're giving Josh all the hard ones.
That was pretty good. The
That was
response.
that was good, but you're still giving him the hard ones. I feel like he watched the other ones trying to make sure that he knew what to say, and you're just throwing a spanner.
See,
I think
I'll-
all I was thinking was fruit. The fruit.
Don't
The
say
fruit.
banana.
Don't say banana. You're not a pineapple.
These are all, half of these are new, right?
No, that's cool. It's
Yeah.
good.
Hey, look, I would have straight away. I would have went and thought of all the animals that people call me, and it's usually out of play, talk, conflict.
Careful.
Yeah, depends who you're talking to, right? If you're talking to Matuk, what are you?
Dog.
Dog. You're a dog. Anyway, Laurence, if money wasn't a factor, what would you do with your time? I think you're already doing it.
I'm doing it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Play with engines, play with vehicles that make me happy.
Buy trucks.
Buy trucks.
Think about trucks.
That's an easy one, yeah. I'm sort of doing it every day.
That's
I
living
wouldn't
the
do
dream.
anything else, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, Josh, what's one of your biggest challenges in life?
Those are big questions, aren't they? Challenges in life.
What are your biggest challenges in life? Or it could be one, the biggest challenge.
What instantly comes to mind is
I think I already know it.
raising my son to be
Okay.
a good person.
Yep. That's number one. I think our industry deserves work-life balance.
Families can suffer from this industry.
Yeah.
My wife's involved in the business of more recent years and she carries the burden now and we both tell each other, you know, we've got to learn to live life and enjoy this a bit more. It's easy to get overwhelmed with work and and customers and other people.
Sure.
So yeah, I think Josh's answer was pretty spot on there.
Yep. Laurence, what makes you passionate and gets you motivated?
Seeing the results of what we do, having tangible results and evidence of the hard work.
Yeah.
Without that, I wouldn't have any vision. I wouldn't be able to put up with this the next day.
100%. Yep. And money or happiness, Josh?
Happiness.
Okay, Laurence, so if you could do it all again, what would you change? Or anything? Would you change anything?
Look, hindsight goes for miles, of course. You would do things better knowing what you know now, but I don't think I would generally change anything because I'm happy to be where I am.
Yep.
So I don't regret anything that's happened.
Yep.
I think we're good. I think I just need to knuckle down and get it home now and try and enjoy the rest of my golden years.
Yeah, we live
doing
and
this
learn,
stuff.
and
Yep,
you make mistakes and you become better for them. Without those mistakes, you're not here.
exactly.
Yeah, I get it. What would you if the audience was doing what you were doing sort of 15 years ago, and they're thinking this is what I can foresee for my future, what could you recommend to them based on your experience?
I've had a lot of people tell me that it's not going to work. I would do it this way. You're wasting your time. So I think having a vision and being clear on it is key. And don't stop getting to your goal. Like it can work. You can make anything work. So a lot of people have tried to chip me down over the last 8-9 years of doing this, and had I had listened, it wouldn't have worked.
Yeah.
So I feel, stick with your vision and do what you enjoy, and just ignore the negative help and try and encourage and absorb the good help.
Yeah. And from a foreman, tradesman, tech guy point of view, if anyone was to, I guess, want to be in your position, what could you recommend? From the very start. So they're in school and they're thinking about doing this.
Yeah. I think it's a world of information these days. So, if you wanna start learning, start now. Like, you get on YouTube or download stuff or whatever and just start learning what you're interested in, because there's just so much out there.
Yeah.
So I don't necessarily believe in, education or a school education, going to year 12 and all this sort of stuff. I didn't do it.
Yep.
I left in year 10 and I was driven to be in the automotive industry like I always had been. And I think like I said, just start learning now. There's lots of things that I wish I had have spent more time learning instead of just being the driving force. And I guess it's never too late, but when you're so busy in an adult life of working in a high-paced business and a high-paced family life, and the time definitely does
fly.
It flies, and there's not much of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree 100% with Josh. I think education is a business these days, and I disagree with most university courses and most tertiary education courses out there being flogged and advertised to students. I think if you've got the opportunity to leave school, if you can read, write, add things up, and you're well spoken and you understand adult life and
have respect,
have a good morale and respect, and understand the hierarchy of people, respect your elders and learn from those who have knowledge, I think get into a trade or a profession as early as possible.
Yeah.
15, 16, get into it. Start your own business.
And depending, obviously, if they want to become a doctor, then obviously you've got to do certain things, right?
Of course.
There is absolutely an area of tertiary education that is necessary.
Yep.
And should be followed, of course. But I think, we see on TV there's 100 courses you can do at 50 universities.
That don't equate to that.
Surely they don't all equate to adding value to the world. You can be an online marketing genius. Does that really add value to the world? Does that help progress things as a civilization?
No, I think that's for people that are buying time. They don't know what they want to do, so they do this. And I guess all it does show the potential employer is that 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 they can actually commit to something and complete it.
Yeah.
It also tells me that you were slow to realize what you actually wanted to do.
That's right. So if you want to be a videographer or someone who works with gadgets and technology, go and buy the equipment and do it. Learn how to do it. Learn what works and get into it. Whatever you want to do, just start getting into it with practice.
Yes.
Take some initiative.
Yep.
It's one thing they don't teach in school.
Yep.
Initiative.
Yep.
Elon
Musk I really look up to him. So I've got a few people in history that are heroes of mine. So there's Howard Hughes, the aviator. Elon Musk is a more contemporary person that has gone and done things. People call him, a weirdo and that he's all full of shit and all that sort of thing. But he's produced results. He's trying to save humanity. He's trying to look at alternate energies and, going out to space and going to Mars. Some people think, so what? Big deal. It's why are we doing that when we've got problems on Earth? But he's still executing a vision and doing things. So we need more people like that.
100%.
And the way that the social way of people these days and the way humanity's going, it's not looking good. Too many people want to make all the money and sit behind the desk and
chill,
criticize and have the easy way out, but it's not adding any value to society at all.
Yeah.
We need things to be done. We need, industry stopped, manufacturing in this country stopped. We need it to come back. It's going to take 20, 30 years to bring that back.
To turn it around. Yeah,
we've got the resources here. We've got the skill set. We've got the space.
I thought COVID would have helped. Like, it has helped.
It's made people aware of the problem.
Yep.
And it's made people want to kickstart it again.
Yep.
But we're still 20 years from bringing back things that we used to do, foundries and we've got the biggest mining industry in the world here.
Yeah.
And we're sending it all out. But yeah, we need to just get back to skills and trades and practical ability to do things. That's completely lacking these days.
When I think of the new generation, the even 20 years sounds too quick.
It probably is too quick, but we're not going to see things happen in the next 5 years. We're not going to see, vehicle manufacturing will probably never happen here again.
Not in our lifetime.
No. So there's just things that are gone in our life and that were there not that long ago. So
I think it's going to take something big like vehicle manufacturing to come back to drive that,
requirement of industry.
Because there's so many things that
people see, we can build things in Australia.
Yeah.
Well, I can build things too. So, taking that homegrown approach.
Yeah. We just know getting staff and employees come along to be able to do the things we're doing, like making some metal parts. It's hard to get people to do that. Yeah. And people will call themselves a mechanic, but they don't know how to weld. They don't know how to make things.
Yeah.
So, we're in a bit of a struggle at the moment. I think we're in a bit of trouble. And we need to get young people on board with not worrying about the money, because the money won't be good. You're not going to make money starting off in this stuff. It's a long haul. I never made money throughout doing all this over the years. It was always hard, and it was never about the money. But without us as a shop and without shops like yourselves, if we didn't exist, then what would people do to get their cars built?
Yeah, there goes the fun.
Yeah, it's gone. It won't happen. It's the same with everything.
I think young people in general see, millions of dollars on YouTube and all this
on
sort
TikTok videos,
Bitcoin,
BS they think that it's you go into the workplace and you make millions of dollars.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's a very detached reality these days with the younger generation.
Yep.
Yeah. So don't become social media marketing experts. Become a welder or build houses or get into
any
something
skill,
that's
any trade.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with it. It's actually a good thing.
Yep.
And it's something to fall back on. Back when I was looking into doing trades and whatnot, I didn't know it was going to be forever. I was 15. But I knew that after 4 or whatever years, I did a dual trade. So it took 4 years of TAFE. But I knew that I could fall back on that. I could do whatever I want, after that. But I knew that I always had that.
You'll always have a job. If you can do something, you've always got a place that you can go to. You'll be begged to work for people.
Yeah.
And I think
make yourself useful.
Yeah.
It's all up to you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
And all these young kids have got the keys to do that.
Yeah.
If they learn it, they'll be set forever and we'll be good.
Yeah, the information's out there, like you were saying before. there's not a lack of information.
Mm.
It's out there. If you want to learn something, you'll learn it.
Well, it's
can
out there
learn
more
anything.
today than what it's
That's
ever
right.
been.
We never
Yeah,
had
that's
that.
right.
We never had YouTube.
Google. We didn't have
Yeah.
Google.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
We had encyclopedias.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
fuck, that's it, really. School.
Yeah. Yep.
Mm.
Encyclopedias in school, what you were told. Yeah. No videos, no pictures. It was all, yeah.
And the videos they did have at school were terrible anyway, right? Like
Yeah, they were like late 70s, early 80s, you know.
they all sounded the same.
Yep.
Same. It must be the same guy.
Yep.
Doesn't. The voiceover. Joe wouldn't know.
Yeah, no.
He's like, what do you mean? They're all colour.
Color TVs. Yeah.
On my LCD flat screen, they were all colour.
Yeah.
Yeah. Bringing back Elon Musk, actually, what do you think about the UFC, Elon Musk versus Zuckerberg? Haven't seen
Oh.
anything on
Is
it.
that a thing?
About the whole Twitter.
Oh,
Is it
they
the
reckon
new-
it's going
the
to be a
new
real
thing?
thing. Yeah. Dana White's promoting it.
What,
UFC.
they're going to physically fight each
Yeah,
other?
No, they're not.
yeah.
Oh, Elon would have him sorted, no problem.
He's got him.
He's
got
quite
him-
tall, right?
Yeah,
He's a big
reach,
boy, yeah.
reach and size, but old Zuckerberg's a bit of a dark horse.
Is he?
Yeah, he's actually a Brazilian jiu-jitsu trained
he's
and
done.
Oh, okay.
he's had some professional fights and stuff.
Is this actually a thing?
I think it's actually going to happen. Yeah,
Yeah.
I hope it does.
I can't see it happening. I think it's. Imagine how much money it'll make.
Oh, that's why. That's why I think it'll happen. Can you imagine the amount?
Yeah, but
of
they
money
don't
it'll
need
make? Not for them. Do it for
Well,
charity.
UFC would
Do
they?
it for something. I don't know.
This just shows how much of a rock I live under.
Yeah,
I
but
didn't
as
know
long
you-
as-
No, I knew about the whole Twitter thing. I didn't know about the UFC.
Mm.
Well, we don't want Elon to get hurt. He's doing some good shit.
I don't think he'll get hurt. I reckon he's an alien, eh? He's just like from another planet.
Whatever. Good on him.
Drive your truck over there.
He won't like that. Too many
Nah.
emissions.
Yeah, he wouldn't. Yeah, all right. Well, I think we
Yeah,
wrap
we'll
this
wrap
up.
it up. Yeah. Thanks for coming, guys. Really appreciate it.
Thank you very
This
much for
was
having
My
us.
pleasure.
Super
It's
interesting
good.
and yeah, thanks for giving us an insight into your company and the knowledge that you bring to the table.
I hope it helps.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.